Welcome to Suzanne's studio. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host. Tonight, I am so privileged to introduce my guest, who is Rear Admiral Albert H. Pat Clancy, U.S. Navy. It's taken me so long to get Pat here, but he is just wonderful.
Well.
Admiral Pat, I am so glad that you're here. And you are the second war hero from World War II, Pearl Harbor, that I've interviewed. So you're next. So let's start with a fact. Let's start on Pearl Harbor Day. What happened?
Well, I was stationed aboard a light cruiser named, incidentally, the Honolulu. And we were tied up at a pier in Honolulu. I was just finishing the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. watch on the deck, and I left the ship. I was relieved, and I left the ship to go to the submarine base to go to Mass. And halfway there, everything started to happen, and these planes were flying over, and one of them blew up very close to me, so it was obvious that it wasn't just a drill. So I ran back towards the ship just in time to see the Arizona blow up, and then I got to the ship, and I just, it was my normal duty, but the captain was trying to get the ship underway, and so I was down on the quarterdeck trying to keep order. So that was the exciting beginning
Of your career.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you went to Annapolis Naval Academy, right?
I did.
And you were 20 when you finished.
Yes.
Yeah, you graduated high school at 15.
Yes.
How come you're so smart, Pat?
It must have been my mother's genes or something.
That's it.
But
one of the questions I just asked you in the green room, were you absolutely terrified when the Arizona blew up? How did you feel?
I don't think I don't remember being terrified. I just remember being, excited and knew that the Japanese were attacking us, and so I just I have characterized this before, and I said that December 7th was the day when we all grew up.
Well, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it means that, before that, we were doing our duty, but 3 nights out of 4, we were out on Waikiki Beach having a good time, and all of a sudden, it was painfully evident that that was all over, that we were now in a war.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to follow what I was going to follow, but this kind of goes along with the fact that I see you as having a very even personality, because you weren't, when I asked you, were you terrified, and you said not terrified, just doing your job. I just wonder, is that how you became an admiral? That's what. No, I wasn't planning to ask you that quickly about your admiral.
I think as I went from rank to rank, I don't remember really working to be an admiral.
Really? You didn't have that in the back of your mind at all?
Well, I'm sure that when I got to be a captain, the thought crossed my mind, because we knew when the selection boards were meeting, and we knew who were eligible. But by and large, you know, I just did my job. I made some tough decisions, and you know, not thinking about how it would affect my career. So, as I say, I didn't purposely set out to be an admiral.
But I wonder if the fact that, well, not just your background, all these medals and everything, but the fact that you have the kind of personality that would make a good admiral.
Well, I think so. You know, I think you have to be level-headed, and you meet different circumstances, and you have to approach them in a level-headed way, and you just can't be biased. You have to judge everything by the facts that you're given. So in that way, I think my level-headed personality helped me.
Okay, so now we're going to go backwards, okay?
Yes.
Since I've known you, one of the most important things in your life have been Betty, your wife.
Yes.
Who passed away 3 years ago.
Yes.
And you were married for 68 years.
Yes.
I knew Betty, and both of you were always so in love. I'm very romantic, so I know some of the people that really are hot for each other, and a lot of them that aren't. But you had 4 sons. Now
Yes.
you have 3 sons. Okay, so I just have to put that in to make your story a little juicy. Right?
Okay.
I mean, I only have people on the show that have had hot stories, and I've never interviewed an admiral before. So
Well, my love affair with Betty had nothing to do, well, it had something to do with my being admiral, because she kept me on a level track. But it was very interesting because she grew up in San Francisco and really had nothing to do with the service. But after we were married, she just jumped in and was my helpmate all the way. And she spent 30 years volunteering for the Navy Relief Society. And then after I retired, she spent another 30 years volunteering for the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. So she really jumped in. And I will say that towards the end of my career, there were several times when she was mentioned in my fitness reports as being a very valuable addition to the Navy. So.
So I don't know what to say, except I will say I Googled you, because, you know, you can find out about practically everybody, especially, you know, someone who's prominent. There was more information about her than you. Pat.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is pretty true. Okay, so one of the things why I wanted to have you on the show, too, is because of, you know, the drama of your life, and tell that not only did your plane crash in the Pacific, but also the Atlantic. I think that's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Tell about that.
All right. The first one was in the Atlantic, and I was finishing, well, I had finished flight training, and by that time I was a flight leader, and I was towing a target over the Atlantic, and suddenly my engine quit, and I suppose I was at 10,000 feet. In those days, you really had an option with a propeller-driven airplane, either to bail out with your parachute or to land your airplane. And I chose to land the airplane, and it was very successful, and I got out and did all the things I was taught. I got in my little rubber raft and got out the shark repellent and
Did you really?
yeah,
Yeah.
all the things that they had told you to do, and and my flight kept circling me so that the Coast Guard would know where I was, and but subsequently they started to run out of gas and they had to leave. But a Coast Guard plane, not plane, but boat subsequently picked me up, and so that was that story.
Were you married to Betty at that time?
I was married to Betty, and
what did she say when you
well,
told her?
I'm sure she was delighted to see me back.
Yeah, of course, of course. Then
Well, I don't know exactly when they told her that I had landed in the water, but I'm sure she knew it before I got back.
Yeah.
So the second incident happened right after the end of the war. The carrier that I was on was off of Tokyo, and I had decided that I wanted to take some pictures with the photoplane, and so I got all set, and they catapulted me off the carrier, and I made a right-hand turn, and the engine quit. Now, instead of 10,000 feet, I'm about 100 feet, so I had no option except to land in the water. But it was a successful landing, and we had a destroyer that was always following the carrier, and it was called a plane guard, and it was there just for the purpose that presented itself. And they came alongside and picked me out of the water, and within an hour I was back aboard the carrier.
And you know, the thing is, you're so cool about all of this. You are.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, those days I think were for young people. You know, we didn't have any fear, and we were just doing whatever was required of us, and I, in the squadron, I was probably 25 or 26 when I became the commanding officer, and other than maybe 2 other officers, the rest of them were younger than I, you know, and so they were all just young men waiting to go ashore and have a good time.
Was the Navy people a lot different than the Army people or Air Force people?
Do they, what?
Were they different?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the ages were about the same. It was full of young people.
Yeah, and they were all about the same kind of mentality?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So tell some more. How old were you when you became Rear Admiral?
Oh, I'm thinking.
Okay, that's okay.
I was 45.
Well, wasn't that very young?
Well, it was about average. Let's see, 67 minus 20, 57. Yeah, that's about right. Give or take.
Yeah, yeah. So when you became Rear Admiral, tell what Betty thought.
Well,
yeah, I love to hear
Betty
this kind
was
of stuff.
out playing golf at that time, and so I called and this golf course was in New Jersey, and I called the pro shop, and the pro went out to tell her, and so she and the ladies jumped up and down and screamed. So that was about it.
Yeah,
she was happy.
Yes. Okay, so now tell about how you asked her to marry you.
Well, you know, I saw very little of Betty before we were married. I I met her when the ship was being repaired in December of 1940, January of 42. And then later I came back on the way back to flight training and had another series of dates with her. But I couldn't get a date with her on Saturday night because she was going steady.
Oh, boy.
Any rate, later I'd finished flight training and I was going to Albuquerque to see my mother, and I invited Betty to come and stay at my mother's house, all up and up. And she must have thought something was going on, because she came and we took a trip up to Santa Fe, where I was born. And we were in the La Fonda Hotel, which still stands, and over dinner I proposed to her. And I don't remember what she said.
That's what you told me. And I said, you have such a good memory for an old guy, too, right? And you can't remember that.
No.
But you also told me that the minute you saw her, it was love at first sight.
That's right.
Yeah. Was she going steady with a naval guy?
No, he was a civilian boy. And my sister was working for the Navy Department in San Francisco, and so Lillian, my sister, got me a blind date with Betty. And I can remember the first time my sister had an apartment, and I was coming out of the kitchen with a Southern Comfort old-fashioned when Betty walked in the front door. That was it.
That was it? Did you really felt that right away?
I can't tell you whether I did, but in retrospect, I did.
Yeah, of course, of course. So the other thing I want to ask you is, when you retired, what did you do?
While I was in the Navy sent me to postgraduate school in aeronautical engineering, and so I had a degree in that subject, and there was a small aeronautical engineering department at Foothill College, and so it's a funny story, but I ended up then teaching, there for about 5 years. I got the hiccups.
Drink some water. Speaking of water,
I may do that.
Did you ever get tired of the water, having been in the Navy for, what, 37 years?
No, because after I went through postgraduate school, I became a specialist in the Navy, and I really gave up my sea duty, and I spent tours of duty in contract administration, helping to build airplanes and engines and missiles, and to do flight tests and to do maintenance, and so that was my career after that.
Oh, but after the Navy? Or,
no, that was during the Navy.
During the Navy. So, but you were the admiral at that time.
No, not till many years later.
Oh, okay. So how many years were you admiral before you retired?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to know what happened in those 6 years. Did you have a good time?
Yes. My first tour of duty was with the Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. And it so happened that at that time, the Department of Defense was trying to develop an airplane which was good for both the Air Force and the Navy. And I was in charge of the Navy part of it. And subsequently, however, the Navy part of that program was canceled. So then I went to other tour of duty. But that was very exciting because You know, the Navy was not particularly interested in the airplane. It was too expensive and too heavy, so I was caught in the middle half of the time trying to make it succeed, and half of the time making it fail.
Really?
Well, the politics were quite heavy at that stage of the game.
Who won out?
Well, I guess you could say the Navy, because the Navy part of that program was canceled. But it led to the development of a very successful airplane. So all in all, it worked very well.
What was the airplane, Pat?
It was the F-14, which was a fighter airplane, and as I said, very successful.
And you were the one that helped the whole building of it and everything?
No, after that, I had the previous airplane, which was canceled, and this was a follow-on airplane.
I see. Okay, so we're towards the end of our interview, and I have a very important question to ask.
I'm waiting.
I know. And you don't have to answer it, but I'd like you to, okay? What is the most important part of your life right now?
Right now?
Yeah, after all of your life. And how old are you? Okay.
94.
94, okay. So in the 94 years that you've had, which sound very exciting and very rewarding, but now, how do you feel?
At this particular time?
Yeah.
I can't mention Betty.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
No, I would say that, you know, I look at her picture at least 5 times a day, and when I write notes to people who have lost a loved one, I always say, remember the good times, and that'll help you through it. And so I would say she was the most important.
But now that she's gone.
I guess the most important things are my children. You know, I'm at the point where I'm not doing anything exciting, but it's just fun watching them continue to grow and do things.
And they're so devoted to you. The trips that you have been on with those boys.
Yes.
You're the envy of the forum. And speaking of the forum, I mean, I don't even need to go outside of the forum to get wonderful guests for Suzanne's studio.
Oh, you're right.
And that's where I met you. But you were one of the pioneers, the originators of the forum. How many years ago?
23 years ago.
And you wrote a book that took you 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have done so much for the forum, right?
Well, I hope so.
Oh, you have. And that's one of the loves of your life, right?
Well, sure it is, because I feel I had contributed to the success of the forum in the early days. And we had lots and lots of problems, and we were able to jump over all of them and get them solved. So,
and it's one of the most successful facilities in the United States.
It is indeed.
Run by, I didn't even know this for so long, run by the board of directors.
That's right.
Not by a big other company, right?
That's right. The board of directors actually hires a company to manage us, but they're on the company every day, making sure that they do the right things.
So in other words, the forum is head of the management company.
Oh, no, the management company is just simply a company that we hire.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't, we or the board of directors have no part in the running of the company, the management company, other than making sure they do the right thing.
Yeah, yeah. And you're still so active, though, at the forum, aren't
Well,
you?
I'm semi-active.
Semi?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're so busy boogieing around to Honolulu and those fishing trips that you take. And you do like fishing? After
Yes.
being in the water all those years? I can't believe
That hasn't bothered me.
No. And the other thing that I think is interesting is that you never owned your own small plane.
No, that's right.
How come?
Well, I just didn't have the interest, but I passed it on to my number two son, who had his own airplane, and unfortunately, the last hurricane that went through Boston turned it over, and that was the end of that. So,
Well, Pat, we have come to the end of our show, and I've been so thrilled to have been able to interview you. I think you are just an incredibly darling man. You really are.
oh man,
Yeah, no, truly.
that's very nice of you to say that.
Well, it's true, and I thank you so much for, sharing a lot of these intimate details. I don't mean to be intrusive, but I love to know about people, especially admirals. And it was hard for me to believe that you were an admiral because you're so cool. It's, you're not full of yourself. Thank you again. And of thanking people, I want to thank our unusually devoted, and they're darling too, crew. And of course, I want to thank our audience for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You can't.